Jason Michael Carroll. You know, there are some songs that you like. There's some songs that you don't like. There's some songs that we play, and there's some songs that we want to play. There's some important music out there. That happens to be a very important song, and it raises awareness. If you've listened to the words of Allysa Lies, it deals with child abuse and how Allysa is a little girl who goes to school, and she lies to her classmates and her teachers because of bruises that are obviously from child abuse. And then ultimately lies with Jesus because she was taken from us. So a very powerful song. If you never listen to the words, I challenge you to do so next time we play it. But we wanted to bring some enlightenment, I guess, some information to us, educate ourselves, and hopefully you guys as well, about a topic that's very well, I guess it's important not only to our country, but to our community here. And so we invited Sergeant Yvette Demming into the studio this morning. You're in Criminal Investigate Division. Is that how it's called? What is your exact title?
I'm actually assigned to the Criminal Investigative Division, and I oversee the Family Protection Unit, and that's responsible for child abuse, sex abuse, and domestic violence.
And you smell very pretty.
Yes, she does.
Hopefully you can't. That's not. I can't get arrested for making a compliment, can I? But she makes the room smell a lot better. We really want to talk seriously about this, though, and I know that it is something that faces all of us, and it's one of those crimes that if it goes unreported, it goes unknown. And so I know that there's some areas of this we want to talk about. There are 4 different types. You had mentioned to me off the air, 4 different types of child abuse to watch out for. What are those types? And kind of what are we looking for? Okay,
it's divided into 4 main categories: physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, and neglect. And obviously, physical abuse would probably be the easiest to detect. You're going to have visible injuries. Sexual abuse may be a little bit more difficult. Our children sometimes will report to a physician or to the ER, which then reports that to us. And sometimes just on their own will make a disclosure about sexual abuse. Psychological and neglect. Probably our biggest problem right now is a drug-endangered child, and those are exposed to either a parent or caretaker who is abusing either illegal drugs or prescription medication. And, of course, on the rise right now is the use of methamphetamines and the manufacturing with the child in the home.
Yeah, I mean, it's mind-blowing. I work with teenagers at my church, and it's mind-blowing because you meet these kids, and you just think they're going through the same, home life that you went through when you were a kid, and then you dig a little deeper and find out more, and they'll, tell you things, and you're just like shocked because the kids that you least expect something's going on at home, can be the very kids you need to be watching out for. Now, in Tennessee, is there a mandatory child abuse reporting law that says folks have to report if they see? Or?
We do have a mandatory reporting law that generally summarized says any individual, so any person who has knowledge of any of these types of child abuse has a duty to report that.
Really? So, I mean, obviously that's a little tough of a law to enforce or to govern, but what if somebody, is witness to something and they don't report it?
If you have reasonable cause or suspicion or any knowledge of child abuse and you don't report that information, that is also covered by law or punishable by law, and that's a criminal offense.
Wow. Now, what about hopefully you don't have this happen, but false reports, if you have it, because, there are kids that are going to accuse their parents, and just because they're mad at them or going through some other situation, what happens with false reports?
False reporting is also covered by law, and basically states if you intentionally, maliciously, or you knowingly make a false report, that is a felony offense, and it's also punishable by law. But just so you understand, too, that if someone does make a report and they act in good faith based on the information that they have, and it turns out that it's not child abuse, you're immune from any civil liability if you acted in good faith.
Sure, I understand that. All right, well, a lot of questions that I have for you. Again, Sergeant Yvette Demming on the show with us this morning, talking in light of Allysa Lies, the new song from Jason Michael Carroll about child abuse. Some of the questions that I have, reporting child abuse, how do we do it? Is there a hotline number that we can call? Is it kept confidential? We'll get to some of those questions. It's coming up next.
Coming up next with the Gator and the StyckMan.
Sure, we'll get to Country George Strait and Brad Paisley. The record's minutes away, but again, coming up next, more questions with Sergeant Yvette Demming, enlightening us all about the dangers of child abuse, not only in our country, but in our community. That conversation continues after this.